Attention, everybody. The views and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily those of Axe Ministry, Axe Media Group, and/or their affiliate and subordinate ministries and/or nonprofits. Good morning! Coming to you live from Axe Media Group headquarters here in the beautiful Springfield, Missouri. It's the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay with your host, Matt and Jay. Steve's not here today. His wife has to be at work early, so he couldn't be here. So he won't be here for his show either. Today. I just found that out last night. So we might pull a hit show from the archives. Haven't made the decision yet. Might have to happen though.
Understandable.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay. My name is Matt.
My name is Jay.
Glad to have everybody on board with us today. B-O-A-R-D, on board. Today's title is, It's Okay to Be Bored Sometimes.
Yeah.
You know why it's okay to be bored sometimes?
Why?
Because if you're bored, you use your imagination more. Kind of forces you to kind of think of stuff.
It's a good opportunity to.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's hard.
Sometimes people
Depends on
don't.
what's going on.
Yeah.
You know? But it's still okay to be bored sometimes. Sometimes that time, is... I mean, I've been going through a lot of ups and downs and boredom, depression and stuff, so it's been...
Boredom does
been
leave a
bored a
space
lot.
for you to focus on depressing things.
Yeah.
Unless you're like thinking of designing something or something like that. Then
I've
technically,
been doing
I guess
a
you're
little
not,
bit of designing.
I guess you're not bored if that's the case.
I've been doing a little bit of designing. I enjoy doing that.
I am trying to find Steve O'Mickey Mac here. I need to text him and find out something before I say something about something.
Before you say something about something, huh?
Mm-hmm. About one of our sponsors.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a design for a 16 by 20 tiny house. Sounds interesting.
It does. 20 by 16 tiny house?
Yep, I built in 8-foot ceilings with a cold sump. So what that means is the bathroom floor, the kitchen floor, and then the floor underneath the couch/bed would be up a foot off the floor. And underneath them, the way it's spaced, you could pull out drawers that go underneath the whole floor, and they would extend all the way out into the cold sump.
Really?
So you'd have access under there. So most of your floor would be fully accessible by drawers where you could store things and keep your belongings.
In the floor?
In the floor. And the way they pull out is you pull out the drawer, but then you have full access along the whole length of the drawer, too.
Oh, wow.
So you pull out the drawer and you're in the cold sump, cold sump is basically if you have a wood-burning stove, the wood-burning stove is lower in the lower is like, say, in the living room or the entry.
Now, is it like you pull the lid off of the drawer?
No, you pull the drawer out. The drawer extends out into all the way into underneath the kitchen and all the way in underneath the bed.
How would you access them, though, from the outside?
No, from the inside the house. So, so there's a space in the floor that's lower than the rest, basically. And the part that's higher has a bunch of drawer faces on it. And you pull them out into the open space, the low space of the floor. So say you have a 6-foot wide space that's lower than the rest. The higher parts have drawers, and those drawers extend out into that open space of the low part of the floor. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And
that sounds very interesting, though.
I could show you the drawings. The drawings will be clear. So I was designing that, thinking, well, how do you have a tiny house, have enough storage, and where do you put it? And of course, one problem with that is that they're low, and at my age, knees and back and all that stuff, it means being on the floor.
You should have them
bending.
You could rig a no, that'd be crazy. I've seen some really, really cool storage ideas.
Yeah.
Like for firearms and stuff, like hidden places that you can, you hit it hit a panel on the wall, and all of a sudden this little thing drops down, and there's your firearm.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. It's
Right.
really, really cool. They make a truck bed that has the entire underneath the truck bed is a drawer,
Yeah.
and you pull out, you hit these buttons on the bumper, and you pull the bumper out, and it's this big drawer,
Yeah.
and it's just loaded with firearms. He says, "This is what I like to put in this. What do you guys think?" You know.
Yeah.
But there's all kinds of cool storage like ideas where you modify vehicles and stuff and make like hidden storage or whatever.
Yeah, and that's really it's a good way to go because you're using space that either isn't being used or making it multi-purpose.
Yeah.
You know, dual purpose space, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, and you know, like one of the things with my camper, you know, there's underneath everything storage, you know, the doors that pull out and stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really cool. Like some of the stuff is really cool. Like the pantry is a drawer that slides out of the wall, and it basically a pantry shelf that just slides right. Like here's the door to like what would be the hallway toward the bathroom. Okay, so you flip this little switch and pull it, and the whole thing slides out, and there's your seasonings and stuff like that.
Yeah, see, I've seen that in tiny houses or bus conversions, and and I want to do that.
Fold
Yeah,
up
that's
beds,
planned.
those are awesome.
I've seen those. I think that's a little too involved engineering wise, and you know, I don't know what the gain really is, especially being a single guy. You know, I don't need that kind of stuff, but it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
I seen one that was on 4 motors, so the bed raised up all the way to the ceiling on electric motors.
With the bed?
Yeah, which opened up the whole floor space
I
of
think
that
I've
tiny
actually
little
seen
space.
that. And it was a 2-story where they bought it and like redid
No, this
it.
was a 1-story bus.
Oh, a bus,
Yeah.
Where at night.
So this is
It
a
lowers
small
down.
place to live. So they had that so that they could open up some floor space, make it more open.
I've seen those. Have you ever seen those magnetic beds?
No,
Like
maybe.
the mattress and everything sets on a giant magnet, but the base of it on the ground is another magnet, and
Yeah.
the poles are reversed. And it's called a zero gravity like bed.
Oh yeah,
You lay on it,
pretty neat.
and there's no frame, no nothing, no box springs, just a mattress on a plate that's a magnetic deal floating in the air.
So you don't want to wire that puppy wrong.
No, because I'm sure it's electromagnets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would suck. 'Cause, you know, you wouldn't want to have any like a really bad nightmare, so to speak, and be kicking and screaming. I think they've probably engineered it to where it doesn't fall out of its field
Oh,
very
I'm sure.
easily.
Yeah, they had to. Well, they probably had to engineer it so it couldn't, or else it would.
Yeah,
It would
which
just
be cool.
fall off.
Now they have like the idea of the one on like chains that drops down.
Yeah.
You don't have to put it all the way on the ground. You can just let it sit there and float.
Yeah.
That'd be like lying on a cloud or a stiff, what do you call it? Hammock.
Yeah.
Now I've laid in a hammock before, and those things are amazing.
They're comfortable.
Yeah. I was at a party and I passed out on this hammock.
Yeah.
Then I fell out of it, of course,
Oh,
trying
fun.
to get out of it.
Yeah.
It was pretty taut, though. I mean, you don't want them to be too loose because you lay in it and it just wraps around you. Then you're stuck.
Well, plus you also end up in this position.
Yeah, and it wasn't good.
No.
That'll make your back hurt. Something fierce, especially if you're a stomach sleeper. Kind of like I have a tendency of rolling over on my stomach,
Yeah.
and if you're like,
Yeah.
feel like you got lockjaw or whatever, that's tetanus. Have you ever seen, tetanus? What it does is it causes all the back muscles, all the muscles to convulse or to tense up at the same time real hard and bends them backwards like in half. Pretty rough, pretty scary
haven't
looking.
seen it.
I've seen pictures of it from back whenever it was still new.
I've had some pretty intense spasms, and that is not a good thing. You want to die.
Yeah, I haven't had that bad of back spasms, but
Yeah.
my body now. I don't know. Like since quitting kratom, that definitely, with anything, like if you take a muscle relaxer, for instance.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, you take a muscle relaxer, it's prescribed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, you don't want to just stop taking a muscle relaxer. I remember because I had an issue with I think it was my back. think it was my back.
Mm.
And the doctor prescribed me a few days worth of muscle relaxers to calm it. It was like a week's worth of muscle.
The spasms.
Calm down the spasms. Well, I didn't want to. I didn't want to take them anymore, so I just stopped taking them.
Yeah.
Came out and sat down. I'm like, I've been having cramps all over the place.
Yeah.
He said, well, that's because you stopped taking those muscle relaxers.
Yes.
Even that short period of time.
Just a day or two can do it. Does
Yeah.
for me.
Because then your body starts relying on that to be able to relax instead of using its own chemicals.
Right. So it suppresses a certain
Morning,
chemical
Larry.
reaction in your body that is universal throughout your body and your muscular system.
Yeah.
So once you take, so your body's trying to overcome that.
Yeah, it's readjusting. I mean,
So
the
your
body's
body's
incredible.
Works to overcome that because it's necessary, partially necessary. Those muscles are designed to protect your joints.
Yeah.
Muscle spasms are designed to protect the joints.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that sucks.
But then they can exceed their, and become overwhelming to the joints as well. So or protect the skeletal system. So
Okay.
then, yeah. So and I've had that I discovered that because I was on muscle have been on muscle relaxers for decades, and I rarely take them. I don't take them unless it's unbearable, unless it's
Yeah.
dangerously. Well, I have to be careful because if I don't take them when I should, I end up having a herniated disc, or and
Which
that's
prolongs
really
the
bad.
situation.
Yes. So I
That's-
take them I try to take them at the right time,
That's
not
like
take too
that's
many.
whenever you end up on the floor.
And then I also know what to expect when I stop.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like with anything, if you take something for a long time,
Even a
chemically-
short time.
even a short time, yeah. But some are worse than others.
Some are worse
Like,
than others. You should know those what to expect.
When I had my hernia surgeries, and they kept prescribing me oxycodone, which
Yeah.
is Percocet.
Oh boy.
And they were giving me 30 of these things at a time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting a bottle of them every couple weeks.
Yeah.
I wasn't asking for them. He was giving them to me because, I mean,
You were in pain.
the core, I didn't realize how much you use your stomach muscles
Yeah.
for everything.
Oh yeah.
Even just thinking about moving, it was like, it
Drop
hurt.
your chin.
Drop your chin. Yeah.
Raise your chin.
Yep. Slightly move anything.
Fingers. More than you realize.
Yeah,
because
you're balancing your arm out there, using
Yep.
your muscles. That's why they call this your core.
Yeah.
Because it's where everything, that's how you set your balance and all that stuff.
Your spine has a core muscle too.
Yeah.
That also works in conjunction with your
Yeah.
stomach.
And so whenever this core hurts, that core hurts, everything hurts.
You have to be careful. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he told me the last time I got a bottle of them, he said, "Now these are the last ones I'm going to give you," and he warned me ahead of time. So what I did was I weaned myself off of those
Good idea.
because I knew I had been taking them for like 4 months
Whoa. At that level.
at that level, and these were not little ones either. These were 7.5 or the 10s. They were huge.
Yes.
Because I mean, I was bigger then, and
Well, see, and the thing with those is you're gonna have pains that you don't really have.
right
That aren't
when you
really
come down
hurt.
off it, yeah, because your body's just so used to being numb from it, and whenever you stop taking that, all of a sudden it's like, okay, now we're dealing with feelings again. This is crazy.
Headaches.
Everything hurt.
nausea,
Headaches, nausea,
Panic.
anxiety, yeah,
Anxiety.
depression, diarrhea. I mean, that's
if
a
you're
really
the
gross
wrong-
word.
If some people are really attracted to the high that comes with that too,
Yeah,
and so
there's
then
psychological,
there's an obsessive withdrawal that you have to go through.
psychological withdrawal.
Nausea. I
Yeah.
had nausea.
Yeah,
Felt like I was gonna throw up.
yeah, and alcohol's even worse.
Yeah.
The withdrawal from alcohol. Well, alcohol and what are those
I think I had a loss of appetite.
benzos, which is like Xanax and stuff like that. Those are bad too.
I had taken Xanax for a long, long time, and I wasn't at a high enough dose that the withdrawals, or at least
They weren't deadly.
when I take medications that come with the withdrawal, that are potentially have a withdrawals issue with them, and I'm always very open with my doctor because I took so many medications for so long that were addictive physically, not as well as psychologically addictive, obsessively addictive. So I took so many of them for so long and went through so many different systems of withdrawal that I started to become more aware that I needed more information whenever the doctor prescribed me anything. So
Right.
I asked particular questions that I knew I wanted to know if this was going to happen. So I always ask the doctor a lot of questions about any medication I'm taking, and the right questions so I know what to expect, you know.
Yeah. And that's one thing. Don't be afraid to ask your doctor stuff.
Yeah, you go through withdrawals from Xanax, any anti-anxiety medication. You go through withdrawals from any kind of a pain medication or a muscle relaxer. You go through withdrawals from those in a severe form, and you start to understand how dangerous medication can be.
Yeah, absolutely. Even stuff that's natural and herbal.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, because that's what these other things are derived from.
Yeah, yeah.
They've got truckloads and truckloads of that natural ingredient going to the factory being
processed,
yeah.
and concentrated.
Yes.
But even stuff that, that's legal, that if you take like if you take supplements really of any kind, if you take those, that's replacing a supplement that your body's supposed to be making, or that you need from something else.
Yeah.
And but if you get used to that, whenever you quit it, you're going to have withdrawal symptoms. I mean, I guess, and obviously the natural herbal, non-refined by man type of stuff has less withdrawal than the stuff that's actually concentrated in much higher doses.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's never fun. Withdrawals suck. Dennis Everson says, nice drug show. Hey, we do what we can. You're talking about a couple of experienced gentlemen here who have had withdrawal symptoms of all sorts.
Another thing about it is the perfectly innocent medication that is really to help you. You can take it and then find out after you have been taking it and it's been effective for its use, that it was designed to give you, that it was prescribed to you for. And then when you start to get off of it, you can develop an obsession for that will tear your life down.
Yeah.
Literally every aspect of your life can be torn down by that obsession.
Yeah.
And it's common. It's common.
Larry, I have not got permission to mention the name of the place that I work on the air. They're not sponsors or anything, and I would have to obtain a permission from the lady that's in charge of the advertising there to even be able to mention it without them getting upset. So let's just say that I work for a very prominent trucking company here in, on the
Springfield,
Midwest side of town. Actually, it wouldn't be Midwest. It would be West side of town. West. Central West. Yeah, there you go. Central West side of town. I didn't even know that was a direction.
No, I also would say
Morning,
I needed
Marsha.
these medications that I took. I should have had more information, and though that information may have put me at risk at the time, knowing that they were dangerous drugs that you can get physical and mental addictions to, I was lucky that I never formed the obsession because I already had a massive obsession for alcohol and marijuana.
That pretty much superseded everything, didn't it?
Yeah, so those other things never made me feel like alcohol and marijuana did. Alcohol and marijuana were the answer for me. They were what I wanted.
Right.
Sex and adrenaline, those were another big thing for me. And what those things all did to me or for me was gave me an alternative to reality that I liked better, or that was more easily achieved, or that was achieved on demand. Whereas working towards improving the circumstances in my life and making things better in my life, that those feelings could be reached naturally, were things that I was missing.
Right.
And so many things were let go because I had this false sense of euphoria. I lost my first wife. I think a lot of it attributed to drugs and feeling good even when my life wasn't good. Using drugs to feel good when my life wasn't good, so I didn't have to recognize signs and troubles.
But the thing is, when your life is getting good and you still take it, that's when you really know you've got a problem.
Right. Yeah.
And then that's whenever your life gets worse.
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry, I'm texting Jim.
I would only ever use these medications to take the edge off. When something naturally occurring in your life has overwhelmed you and you've lost your ability to function, these drugs can be used as an aid to take the edge off and to get you back on track, to get you back on your feet, and to not be paralyzed by the problems that you're having.
Yeah.
Not be, but they can also be counteractive to that. So you have to understand these drugs, how they work, and what you should be doing, what you should be looking for, a time frame, and you should have goals during that time frame of real issues in your life that you want to tackle and challenges that you want to meet. And if you're not working towards those, you start to rest on your laurels and rest in the effect of that drug that it is giving you what you need, and you're not giving your life what it needs.
Marcia says withdrawal is horrible. We have girls that are still withdrawing.
Yeah, sometimes you have to go through a medical withdrawal, which I did with alcohol, 3 days or so. It can kill you.
Yeah.
Or make you want to die.
Yeah. Well, I mean, alcohol and benzos, like Xanax and Klonopin and stuff like that. That's the withdrawal from those. If you've been taking large amounts for a long period of time, withdrawals from that can kill you too.
I had an experience the other day. I was reaching for a bottle for a customer, selling a bottle of alcohol. And I thank God for this, that I was in the right place at the right time with the right people. And not only that, but several organizations that are designed to help addicts and alcoholics. I went from one to the other, and they were just right. I mean, what a God had, it was divine intervention. God intervened in my life. Because for me to go from one very effective place that had everything that was right for me, the people there knew my language. They knew my life because they lived it. They were able to speak with authority, knowing what I was going through and what they went through to stop and what to expect and what to do. And then to leave there because my time was up there and I couldn't stay any longer because that was an actual medical facility. To go into a program from there that then had also all the right people to help me.
Yeah.
With the right knowledge and experience in their lives to help me, and the right words at the right time at that moment when I was right at the edge to bring me back from it. What a blessing that was. And I would say if you have a drug problem or an obsession in your life that's tearing your life down, I would say look forward to going to one of these programs and get involved. Listen to the people that are there. They're committed to those programs, not out of a desire to gain wealth or anything like that. They're in those programs because they are equipped to help somebody, and they want to help somebody. So take advantage of them and reject your own thinking and exchange it for theirs, because a lot of those people, the only way you're going to survive it is if you say, you know what, I give up because my thinking and my choices and my decisions have all been wrong and led me to this place. So maybe I'm just going to stop when I'm disagreeing or not sure about something. Just give it up and say, okay, well, it doesn't matter whether I agree or think it's right or it's going to work. I'm just going to listen and do what they said because it worked for them and I want this to work.
Yeah. I tell people in regards to quitting drugs and alcohol, a support group. Your support network is, God first, and then your support network is a huge tool that you need to have a support network of people.
Support groups and networks break down regularly. They're just like anything else. There's going to be highs and lows in your life, and there's going to be high lows in theirs, and you're not going to be aligned perfectly. You have to be prepared to recognize the signs that you need help, that your support group's not available, and that you need to immediately do the right things to develop a support network that you need now, to redevelop those connections to the right people, the right support that's going to be helpful to you, and avoid those that are not helpful and that are not going to be supportive and that might support you in a direction that takes you away from your sobriety and from your faith and your walk with God, your purpose in life. Be prepared always to redevelop a support system and get involved with other people who can be helpful to you There are a lot of compassionate people out there who are willing to help. All you have to do is say, something ain't working right for me right now, and I just need to, work on this. And so then you'll find a lot of people, even if they don't even understand, will say, you know what, I get it. They won't drink around you. They won't use drugs around you if they don't have a problem. They might not have a problem at all with using any kind of drug, and it may not tear their life apart. But knowing that it does you will be enough for them to say, and they won't avoid you, but they'll just not use around you. And there's a lot of people like that. So and be careful about those things. Anyway, I'm rambling.
No, that's good. You got to know your limits.
Yeah, you got to go to the right places, the right support group, and it has to be one that's effective for you.
There's always a chance of being tempted and possibly giving into that temptation.
Yeah.
From the time you quit to the day you die.
Yeah, and you're in charge.
You know why? Because you're human.
You're in charge. God gave you the free will. You're in charge, and you have to work your sobriety yourself.
Yeah.
So if you know something's not working and that something is not going to work in the system that you have set up for yourself in your own sobriety, you need to immediately start developing a new one, or one that's going to substitute for the time.
Yeah, and eventually the cravings go away. Well, not 100% all the time, but they lessen.
And that's what I went into that for. As my mouth started watering. I remembered the taste. I remembered the rush and how quickly it comes on, and immediately so I went on through that, and immediately connected to that because of my experience with recovery was the connection also from that to this is never going to be enough. So what is in this bottle that I want and what I know I can expect from this bottle, I also know is not going to be enough.
Right.
And that seeking what amount is enough is oblivion, absolute dysfunction.
Which is a different amount every time.
Yeah, well, and to oblivion, unable to function or focus or feel. And so I know, and then, of course, understanding that and seeing, do I want to lose my son again?
Yeah.
Who I saw this morning and hugged this morning, a beautiful thing in my life.
Yeah.
Do I want to end up not showing up here and having this fall apart in my life? That's the real consequence, and that is the real thing that happens. And I can't deceive myself and won't deceive myself and think. So all of those thoughts flood right in and are not separate from that desire for that feeling that drug gives me. They're connected. And I got those connections through a good program that worked for me and through people who understood what I was going through and told me what to expect and told me the connections I needed to make.
And it's it's good. It's so good to have people who can help you.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm looking for I'm looking through here to play a classic episode of something after our show today, while we get ready and get the studio set up for Sacred Ways with Troy and Belinda Johansson.
Yeah.
It's always great. Their show's always very interesting. Let's see, what is this?
Huh.
I know, right? Capture. Wow. Let's see what these are.
Interesting.
What?
Oh, I was just looking at some
What are you looking at? Stocks?
Stocks, yeah.
It's all right. I get it.
Well, I've been doing the stock market thing, which I'm really enjoying. I mean, it's like playing a video game, really. And I do enjoy video games.
It's a strategic video game.
It is a strategic video game, but it's one that you can make money at or lose money at. I've been able to, so far, make money, and who knows how that's going to be. I mean, everything could crash off just a few points, and I'd have less money than I put into it. But at the same time, right now, all of that money would be gone. there's so many things that I wanted in my closet that would be in my closet now, and the money would be gone. So I see it as a positive thing either way, and it could go to zero if things fell enough. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying doing it. The money would be gone anyway already.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but it could be.
Very well could be.
It certainly wouldn't be more,
right?
which it is. So I thank God for that, and it is enjoyable. It's exciting. There is, and we just got done talking about addiction. I want to connect it to addiction. I'm trying to be a good steward of what little I have, and try not to be the one who buries the coin in the dirt. And I'm 51, so I need to plan for my future. There's a time when I will have to retire because I won't be capable of earning an income in the traditional ways that I'm equipped for right now. So learning learning the market and what to expect from it, its gains and losses and its possibilities and its opportunities and its what are the negative? What's it called? The word for the negative and its losses that it can bring in. That the things you can lose in it. Understanding what a safe limit is and what you can afford to lose, and that I've been enjoying it, and it's been a real great experience for me, though I haven't been in it long enough to really know the real lows or the real highs.
Right. You just got, and people like I don't know, but if I don't know a lot of people that play. I know a couple people that play the stock market.
Yeah.
And some people are really, really good at it. Me personally, I'm not good at that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm good at like strategic like games and stuff, but not really when it comes to like betting real money. I've never been a gambler either.
Right.
Although the one time I did gamble, I sat down for 20 minutes at the penny slots and put in a $20 bill, and as soon as it hit $109, I was like, cash out.
Right.
So, and that's an addiction for people too, gambling. The possibility of making more money, they'll spend so much money on that. I know a few people that have a problem with it. And there actually is, like, if you lose too much money in some casinos, they will not let you gamble anymore.
Right.
And I think that's probably required by law or something. But
I think so, yeah.
But that's
it probably depends on your credit score too.
Yeah. I mean, I've working at a credit card division of a particular bank. I got a call from a casino, and a guy, he was such and such junior.
Yeah.
And he used up like $150,000 worth of credit cards, and then such and such seniors' credit cards got charged up at that same deal. And they finally called and said, I don't know who I need to talk to about this, but I need to make sure this gentleman here. And then I looked and saw the age, and I said, well, is this a young man or an older man? Oh, he's a young guy. Looks like he's in his 20s. Or no, it looks like he's in his 20s. I said, okay, well, I'm going to send you over to the fraud department.
All right.
Because that's not senior, that's junior.
And that's not his card.
And that is not his card. So I bet your dad was mad. Because, when it comes to something like that, there's zero liability for these credit card companies. There's for the people who get their stuff stolen or get it used without their consent. I'm pretty sure there's loopholes and stuff, but for someone to make that kind of a decision to steal their father's identity, that person had a problem with gambling.
Yeah.
And you don't think about the consequences at the time. You don't.
Yeah.
Like mine with alcohol, meth, and I never really was big into weed.
Right.
But I was into, pain pills, meth, and alcohol, and the party lifestyle. I think I was more addicted to that than anything.
Yeah.
You don't think about, okay, how am I going to eat over the next couple days?
Right.
You don't think about that. You think, okay, I'm going to drink this bottle. It's going to be fun. And then whenever you're starting to come down, you wake up with a hangover, and you're like, I need to bite the hair of the dog that bit me, or have some of the hair of the dog that bit me, or bite the snake that bit you. Whatever your phrase is.
With
that you use.
alcohol, that's what we're saying about withdrawal.
Yeah.
I've had to do that.
Yeah, because you were having hallucinations.
Yeah, and the first thing you want to do is vomit, and you have to choke it down and keep it
Steve
down.
Schultz says, I hate weeds.
And it takes such a short time. So when I was withdrawing from alcohol, I was really having a rough time of it. I was hallucinating, having delusions, and like really severe. But I drank like $700 worth of hard liquor that week.
Yeah.
Well, with whatever food it took to survive. And
Cheap hard liquor.
cheap.
So it was a lot of it.
a lot.
$700 of cheap
I was
liquor.
sharing it
is-
with somebody, but that still is a lot.
Yeah.
And so I was coming down. So one thing about it is as soon as you stop drinking, your blood alcohol level, it rises for whatever you took in. And then as soon as it reaches that peak, it starts to drop. Well, as soon as it starts to drop is when you start to get withdrawals.
Yeah.
And so I had gone to sleep. I don't know how long I had slept for or passed out really.
Probably not very long.
I don't even know. Probably a couple or a few hours. And when I woke up, I was hallucinating with severe delusions. And my girlfriend brought me this alcohol and said, "You've got to drink this." And so I took it and started to vomit. And and she said, "Keep it down." And within a minute, it went away.
Yeah.
So
Your body goes into shock.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what it goes into, but it's not good.
No.
And you don't want that. And then I found out that you could die from it, and yeah, you don't want to die, but at the same time, you get to that point, you need help.
Yeah.
That's way beyond rational behavior.
Yeah.
Getting yourself to a point where a substance you're taking for no medical reason could possibly kill you
Yeah.
is not a reasonable choice, not a reasonable decision. There's something wrong. You got to go get help.
Yeah. And you need clinical help at that point.
Yeah, and there's people that are very good at helping.
Yeah. And
They're not your mother.
No. And they are.
Darling, it's going to be
No.
okay.
You're right. Get up.
They're like, you did this to yourself, and you're the only one who can undo it to yourself.
Here, we'll put an IV in you so you don't get dehydrated. Make
Yep.
it as comfortable as possible, but you're going to go through some crap, and it's not going to be good.
Not good at all.
That's like whenever you ingest something
We'll keep you alive.
and they pump your stomach. That is not an enjoyable experience.
Well, they have to actually give you alcohol and wean you down from it when you get to a certain point
Yeah.
where death is actually a possibility.
Yeah. And there are people that are trained specifically for that purpose.
Yeah.
Like that is what they do.
Yep. And there are people there who have been through it and know the right mindset. They know what to tell you, and they are not, like I said, they are not your mommy. They are not your
Depending
daddy.
on what you're withdrawing from, they say drink lots of water, get as much sleep as you can, but a lot of times it affects your sleep as well. Like you can suffer like things like opioid dependency, the withdrawals from that. One of the symptoms of withdrawal is restless leg syndrome, agitation, anxiety. What's the other? Insomnia, things like that. But if you can get sleep as much as you can.
Pain.
Drink lots of water. Pain, muscle cramps. Drink lots of water. And for things like pain, like headaches and stuff like that, over-the-counter medications like, Tylenol or ibuprofen. That's
If it's unbearable. Yeah.
if it's unbearable. But you want,
or unbearable chronic.
yeah. So yeah, there's that. Now, as far as alcohol is concerned, I guess you said they dose you with a little bit of like if you're at that point where death is a possibility because of the withdrawal, they'll dose you.
I think what they do is they put it in your IV.
Yeah, which is probably a medicinal form of the alcohol.
Yeah, I'm not terribly aware of. I didn't ever get to that point, so
Yeah.
I didn't experience it myself, and I'm
Well,
really kind of guessing. I have been told that you can't withdraw off of alcohol. There's a point where you can't withdraw off of alcohol. You have to wean off, or you could die. From
Yeah.
it. I've not been to that point.
Which
I
is-
don't know that I haven't, but I don't think I have. Of course, that could have been that day.
Yeah.
That I was weaning. Because that choking it down was the weaning off of it and
Yeah.
running out of money, knowing I was, and I was always rather responsible about it. You know what I mean? So I always accounted for my money very well and knew, okay, so I'm running out of money. What am I going to do? What's my next steps? What's my next plans? Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? So I always had that out and when's my next
That
money
was
coming
that was your
in.
you budgeted specifically for alcohol,
Yeah, oh yeah.
and you
Yeah.
probably over budgeted just in case.
Yes.
Made sure your bills were paid, but at the same time, budgeted for the alcohol. That was literally in your
Yes.
budget.
Yes. As much as I could get into it.
Yeah, probably more so than food,
Yes.
because you really don't think about eating a lot whenever you're really, really drunk. I mean, yeah, you do think about going to these fast food restaurants in the middle of the night or whatever. Being a rideshare driver, I took a lot of people a lot of places that were just hammered, and it's not an
You
enjoyable.
think about it, you do the math, it's just so much.
Well, I did the math when I was in SATOP because I had 2 DWIs, and one of the things they do in there is they have you calculate and estimate how much money you have spent from the first time you used a drug or drank alcohol till that point.
Yeah.
And it'll blow you away how much. I spent over $300,000. Over $300,000.
And they even tell you be conservative. You don't need
Yeah.
to blow you don't need to blow that figure out of proportion.
No, you just
Be conservative. Lower number is okay too, but the low number is so high.
yeah. Yeah.
So high.
I don't think I heard anybody less than 50,000 plus
Oh no, that's rarely
in
low.
SATOP. Because usually at that point in your
Maybe
life,
for a young person.
yeah.
You get into your 40s and you've had a problem since your teens.
Then they say, what would you do if you could get all that money back right now? I mean,
Get drunk.
no. Well, I mean, at this point we're in SATOP, so that's
Right.
not a viable answer. Nor is it a recommended action
Right.
to take.
So, but that's that is what you're facing though.
Mine was open up a. We started making plans to, if God was willing to let us open up a community center with a recording studio in it,
Yeah.
with glass walls around the recording studio, so people could, see what's going on
Watch
in there.
the practices and the development of the music.
Sell
and the
snacks,
songs.
chips, drinks, sodas and things like that, and
Yeah.
get these people in off the streets and,
Influence them.
influence
Try
them. We never got around to that, obviously. Is it not in the cards anymore? I don't know. I don't know what God's plan is. But we could have very easily bought a place and done that with $300,000.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We would have had to find a way for it to keep paying for itself, because that would, operational costs and things like that. But,
Well, it's a community center, so your prime times is what you just need to get a job and work around those prime times and be there when the people need you. And so as long as your focus is that, you just support it with your own income.
my
which is
conservative
the
estimate,
right thing to do.
Steve, was, because he just asked that question. I did. That was one of our assignments at SATOP. And my estimate was, I think $330 some odd thousand is what I had spent from the first drink I took until that point.
Yeah, mine was up there too.
And that's not including all the fines of each DWI and the lawyer fees and stuff like that. That's
Well,
just
and
on the
other
alcohol
drugs
itself.
and stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I've bought more than just alcohol and pot. And, God picked me up and took me out of that lifestyle.
Yeah.
And,
too.
It's, praise Him. And I see people all over town that are obviously on meth or on some kind of drug, and it breaks my heart. Because there's only one person in charge of stopping that, and that is the person that's doing it.
Yeah.
And if they don't make the decision, you can harp on them all you want, and they are not going to stop.
Right.
Yep. Because I had, Dad always let me know. He never condoned my drinking.
Yeah.
And he let me know that, he didn't approve because he was worried about my health and welfare. But
he didn't try to house arrest you.
he
and
didn't, no.
restrain you.
But whenever I was ready to quit, I called him and said, I want to move home so that I don't drink and stuff anymore. And he said, get your stuff together. I'll be there in a little bit. And he came and picked me up and brought me home. And I got rid of every friend that I had that I did drugs with, and that's all I had to do. Well, that's not all I had to do, but that's when it all started for me, like as far as like my sobriety.
Right.
And then
Praise the Lord for that.
yeah, And you guys might be hearing some noises throughout the next
They're working
few
on the
shows.
building.
They are working on the
I'm
building.
sorry, I jumped in there with your news.
No, that's all right. But yeah, so I
Is it
forgot
time?
to talk about. Yeah, it's just about time. I got a classic episode that I pulled up from the archives of the Power Hour with Skylar Carter and Ernie Moore. And this is an old one. That's back whenever we had AXE up there in silver letters instead of ATN. And there was actually black tablecloths on here. And, that was back whenever we had first started up this deal. And you'll see the difference. The lighting's different. It's great though. I mean, I like going back and revisiting these classic episodes and seeing how far we've come from them and from then until now.
Yeah.
Audio wise and stuff. And then tomorrow, I was thinking about finding one that was when we first moved into the office up here. Remember how we had that all across?
Yeah.
So that's super exciting to watch that and be like, wow.
Yeah.
We had different cameras, no lights, the lighting. Dr. Paul's hair looked like platinum. Any light hair or whatever turned into white, like blinding white.
Yeah.
Because the camera we used was not intended for that distance.
Right.
But, we've made do, and God has helped us.
Committed.
Yeah, God has helped us to come as far as we have, and I think it's important to revisit those from time to time.
We didn't do any commercials.
That's one thing I was also getting ready to do. The sponsor we're going to talk about today, Ozark Mountain Craft Mall.
Ozark Mountain Craft Mall.
At 1940 Mo 76 in Branson, Missouri, 417-320-1221. She makes mugs. There's also a bunch, go in there, there's a bunch of vendors in there that have booths that sell things.
Some crafting real time. You
Yeah.
can go in there and see people crafting.
Yeah, you can go in there and buy some honey sticks from Steve's booth.
Yeah.
And, she makes T-shirts, mugs, and all that stuff. We'll be wearing some polos tomorrow that she has provided as a part of her sponsorship to the show.
That's exciting.
And we got the T-shirts already, and a couple of them. You haven't got your T-shirt yet, but you will.
Right.
Tomorrow
Well,
when
I'm
Steve
looking
Mickey
forward
Mac gets here. So I don't know where the ones are from the garage. I didn't save those on there, but yes, you are correct. We need some of those to see them in the garage.
I saw one the other day. Not the video, but I saw the thumbnail.
The thumbnail?
Yeah.
Yeah, that means we
That was very short-lived.
yeah, it was because it was just we even had guests in there and everything.
Yeah.
And we used our
Steve?
cell phone. Used my cell phone. We had Steve in there.
Steve Schultz was in there all the time.
Yeah, and then we had Aaron Ipock from First Baptist Church. And
That was a great show. Those were great shows too.
Let me see here.
Yeah.
So it's time for us to get out of here, folks.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. Waiting for it. And waiting for it some more.
Do we meet our obligation to our sponsors?
I'd like to thank everybody for joining us on the Morning Drive today. We'll be back on tomorrow, same time, same channel. Be sure and tune in next for the classic episode of the Power Hour with Skylar Carter and Ernie Moore, as well as follow it up by Sacred Ways live with Troy and Belinda Johansson. See what we got going on. So until then, my friends, God bless you and keep you. We love you. My name is Matt.
My name is Jay.
And this has been The Morning Drive.